Can I get a huge Vanier welcome to Martin Reeder, please?
So I am so excited to be here to break in this room with you all. I'm going to ask you to come on a journey with me for the next 55 minutes. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. Some things that you may not agree with, some things that you may not think are right, some things that you may buy into immediately. Irregardless of what that looks like, I need you to buy into this next 55 minutes on your own terms. What you're seeing up here is absolutely the beginning of that 55 minutes, but please open your minds, open your hearts. Let's take a nice little journey and break this room in right. Are you guys with me? Yes. All right. So just a little context about who I am. Brian referenced that I am from here. Absolutely born and raised in the Valley. I was way up in Hillview Road in Black Creek. I then went to school at Comoxel, Robb Road, Highland, sorry about that. And I then left and played volleyball at Camosun College for 2 years, went to UBC for a year and a half, played indoors there. At that point, my life went to beach volleyball, and I got a call to play for Team Canada. I moved down to Brazil, put my hand up real quick, and said absolutely. And that started a 10-year cycle of me traveling the world representing Team Canada on pursuit to the 2012 Olympic Games. I was able to play in those games, finished 17th there. I wound up retiring immediately after because the effort that I put into that journey, I thought, holy smokes, if I am able to put that into changing people's lives versus chase my own goals within sport, I can make a pretty big impact. And so for the last 4.5 years, I've been building a business in Toronto in fitness. I've impacted thousands of people. I have over 10,000 hours of fitness training and mental training. I then started working with professional athletes and moving into that space. So working with some NFL, MLB, NHL athletes. I truly believe that this thing right here, this little peanut sitting on top of my shoulders, is more important than this thing right here. And unfortunately, we're not really talking about this thing right here. So I'm here today to talk to you about this, to talk to you about this thing right here, and to talk to you about life. So to start things off, today is Love Tough. Leading with love, it's going to be tough. That being said, it's my little flip on, obviously, tough love. I'm here to make you better. I'm here to attempt at improving your lives, but I need you to not look at me like I'm on some type of pedestal. In fact, I love that I'm down here below you guys. I am just like you. I'm from the same place. I had no idea where life was going to take me. I just did my best. I have a ton of insecurities. Okay, I doubt myself. I am absolutely not perfect. I'm a human being, just like you all, and I am here for you. So I want you to think that I'm a part of your team right now. We are all on the same team, and we're going to go through this together. I may wind up mistiming my slides a little bit, winding up over there. That's all right. Just be patient with me. We're going to start off with a breath calibration. So this thing right here, your brain, you can control it through a breath cycle. I do a lot of work with athletes before we train, and this is about oxygen and carbon dioxide. I'm not going to get into the science of things, but I'm going to get you guys all to place one hand onto your belly, just below your belly buttons. I want you to trust me. I want you to close your eyes, please. Hold up. We're going to do a 1-2-1 breathing protocol. This is a takeaway for you. If you're ever feeling anxious, if you feel like things are running away from you, if you are scared or super nervous, this is a great exercise to wrap it up, okay? To bring it back to center, to control this thing upstairs. So we're going to go all together. I'm going to count it out. Nasal breath only. So in through the nose and out through the nose. Super convenient for me. That means your mouths are closed. You won't be able to speak. So this should be silent. So we're going to look to do a horizontal breath. So on the inhale, I want you to think about moving your belly button away from your spine. And on the exhale, I want you to think about pulling through your lower abs and your diaphragm in. And we're just going to really slow down the nervous system and get you into a parasympathetic, so we're down-regulated system, so we can go through this exercise and next 50 minutes together. So on the 1, 2, 3, inhale through the nose, up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to pause for 10 seconds here. Calm the mind. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're now going to inhale for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're holding for 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all good. Do your best to hold it. 3, 2, 1. Now exhale down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get a couple more in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pausing at the top. I want you to really think about not lifting the shoulders when you're inhaling. Keep the shoulders down. We're working on the horizontal breathing. 3, 2, 1. Exhale down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get one more big one. Don't raise the shoulders. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So, awesome work. Calm the mind. Got a little oxygen in there. We've taught the body it's okay to hold on to that carbon dioxide that builds as we're holding our breath, as we're exhaling. Now we got a little bit of stress control. So my next move, where I'm going with my life, is called the off-ball athlete. I've spent my entire life focusing on this little ball and the skills that I need with it. The interesting thing is, in sport, generally speaking, you only have that ball for a couple seconds, 10, 15, 20, maybe a minute if you're lucky throughout a game. If you're a hockey player, you're playing 60 minutes, you have the puck maybe for 45 seconds through the entire game. Which means that I believe that we are infatuated with the skill set that only takes up this portion of the entire game. Yes or no? Show of hands, up for yes, no hands for no. Can you impact the game when you do not have the ball? Absolutely you can. So today we're going to talk about the off-ball skills. We're going to talk about that 95, 98% of the game that we're not really taught, that coaches and teachers, they don't have the time to really teach you, but they hope that you just get. And we're going to really try to frame that in a way where it's performance for life. Now, off-ball athlete, absolutely athlete right now with the ball, that references sport. But if you're an artist, if you're a musician, if you're interested in getting better in any way, shape, or form, this applies to you, okay? So right off the bat, it all comes down to 3 simple elements: air, nutrients, and love. Now that might sound like some hippy-dippy things, but it really does come down to love. Every single day, you're waking up and you're looking to express love through your actions, and you're looking to receive love by showing up, and also by creating a reaction from your actions, which is then essentially attention. So we are all needing love every single day in order to survive. Obviously air, which we just did, and then nutrients as a part of that to live. So love is the most powerful force on the planet. Now, love does not mean acceptance, where just like, I love myself and I'm just going to chill out for the rest of my life and do nothing. Okay? Love is absolutely not acceptance. Who here has heard of the word Kaizen? Sweet, I dig it. A couple of you. Kaizen is the perpetual pursuit or the constant pursuit to improve oneself. So to love yourself is also to know that you can do bigger and better things at all times, and to commit to that journey to bettering yourself versus just accepting that you love yourself and being comfortable with that for the rest of your life. I really truly believe that as a part of love, we need to move forward and we need to improve ourselves and improve the lives of others. That, my friends, is Kaizen. So one grows by the greatness of one's task. Being your own why is not powerful enough. The pursuit must be greater than yourself. So many of you might be in a moment or a time in your lives where you are the pursuit and you're building that, and that's awesome. But I challenge you, as you grow, as you build, as you get connected to things that you're passionate about, to start making the journey about something that is more than yourself, okay? About creating impact in the world. To do that, you have to absolutely love yourself before you can love the world. So we're going to dive into that a little bit. The human experience, or a sense of aliveness. Slight difference in maybe a million years here. Okay, on the far side, we have survival. The human experience, you had to hunt to survive. You might be able to procreate a little bit, get a little sleep in a cave, light a fire, and then wake up and do the exact same thing. These guys did what was called persistence hunting. So they had to chase animals, and essentially, it was the first form of resilience where they were pursuing that animal until that thing gave up, because we, as human beings, had an evolutionary advantage. We could secrete moisture out of our bodies, whereas animals can only let go of it through the mouth. So they can run for a time, but they have to stop to breathe. We were able to just run. And we were able to grind it out and essentially force an animal to give up their lives because we out-persisted them. Now on this side, participation now looks a lot like this. We can passively participate in life, and it's not about survival anymore. We can just hang out. We can PS4 it. We can literally sit at home all day, and we'll probably receive 3 meals. We'll probably have a really nice house over our heads that doesn't leak. By that, I mean, doesn't matter how big it is, what it looks like, but we're going to have protection. We're going to have entertainment, and it's going to be fine. So this whole grind concept, do you think that these guys knew what the grind was? No, that was their existence. It was for survival. Now, all of a sudden, our grind is I have a cell phone, I'm working hard, I'm doing this, I'm sending texts, I got these messages, I got this going on, I'm sending these emails. Not to say that's irrelevant, but the grind is different now. Before, it was about survival. Now, it's not about survival. So you have to actively participate in life. So passive participation is the idle suffering with no purpose. So waiting for something to happen in life. Just chilling. Active participation is full throttle suffering with the purpose. So we're consciously deciding to make an impact. Okay, so active versus passive. The choice is yours. So life is but a daring adventure or nothing at all. Helen Keller summed it up beautifully. You need to make a choice. I work with a lot of young athletes that are so shocked when I share with them that they can create their own narrative. We do exercises about writing what you want to be and what's your story. And so many of them are like, am I allowed to say this about myself? Dude, you can write whatever you want. You can get after whatever you want because it's your life. But many of us don't really realize that. We're just participating and going through the motions every single day, and we're waiting for something to happen. I didn't realize this until way late in my career. I didn't realize this until I was about 27 or 28, and that's when you're out from the Olympics. And I had to write my own story because it was finally on me. The time had come. I'd been talking about it for over a decade. All of a sudden, the pressure was on me to perform, and I had to actively make it happen. And I realized that I had spent a lot of time passively preparing. So a lot of you have an opportunity to be a little bit more aggressive and go for it, to actively participate in life. A part of that participation is getting comfortable being uncomfortable. We absolutely want comfort. It's so lovely. Oh, that's just so nice. But nothing's going to happen if you're just always comfortable. Growth happens on the other side of comfort when you're outside of that comfort zone. I'm sure you've heard that a ton. So when I work with athletes, when I work with human beings, growth only happens on the other side. So I only like hanging out with people that like to be uncomfortable, that are training their bodies, they're training their minds to be uncomfortable, because that means that you can hold yourself accountable. Absolutely, it's understood that we all want to be comfortable, but if you can handle discomfort and you train yourself to be there, you will do something great. Because at the end of the day, when push comes to shove and you need to show up when you don't want to, when you're fatigued, when you trained yourself to be resilient, to be more capable of withstanding pain than your opponent, you will overcome that. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Perfect. The game of life. We're going to dive into the game of life here, ladies and gents. This one's going to be fun. I can't wait to share this one with you. Time audit. We got 24 hours in a day. Who here sleeps 7 to 8 hours a night? Awesome. If you did not raise your hand, I seriously recommend you re-examining your sleep cycle. It is incredibly important to sleep. If you are like, I'll sleep when I'm dead, you're an idiot. Because you will die sooner. Okay? Sleep is incredibly important. I'm not here to talk to you about sleep though, but just a nice little side note. If you're not sleeping 7 or 8 hours a night, please do your best to do so. So now we went from 24 hours in a day to 16 hours a day. Who here goes to school 7 to 8 hours a day? Perfect. We just removed 8 hours. We got 8 hours left in our day. Who here likes to eat 3 to 4 meals a day, 3 meals a day? Oh, we're probably going to cook a little bit, maybe 5. No, I'm kidding. We got probably 2 hours off because we got to make that. We got to eat it. So now that's 6. Thank you. Down to 4. Who here likes to hang out with their friends? Oh, all you guys want to hang out with your friends. Let's give that a clean 2. Right? Okay. And then we got to do some homework. We got to do some things. So let's just say, arguably, you have between 2 to 3 hours a day for yourself. That's it. So if you do not guard that 2 to 3 hours a day because you have something that you want to achieve, I can guarantee you there's going to be a screen in front of you. It's going to be that little thing. I don't have it. It's up there videotaping, but my iPhone, okay? This is probably going to be in front of me. That thing is meant to suck time away from you. So if you do not guard that 2 to 3 hours a day where you have an opportunity to improve yourself, to move forward actively and get after what it is that you want to do in this world, you will lose that opportunity every single day. 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Michael Phelps made a commitment to train 4 hours a day, 7 days a week for 4 years. Guess what happened? He's one of the most badass Olympians of all time. But he committed to making that time a priority. He guarded that time with his life. Does that make sense, everybody? You got to guard that time? Beautiful. This is my favorite. Expectations. So this right here is the outer game, others. We got the inner game, yourself. This expectation line here, that bottom one, I call the sliding scale of compromise. We got you in the middle. Who am I? My core. Okay? Authenticity, self-concept, purpose, integrity, values. I have exercises for those things, but today is not about those things. Today is about guarding the center line. That center line is your authentic self. That is what you want to bring to the world. That is who you are. Every single day that you wake up in the game of life, you're going to get pulled in this direction. So others, you need to compromise with other people. They're going to pull you away from your center line. You should do this for me. Okay? You're going to hear that a lot. Teachers, coaches, other people, friends, you name it. It's not necessarily a bad thing. This is not to vilify anything. This is about talking about the game of life and knowing how to play it. Every day, you start with the center. You got people saying you should do something. Should you do 100% of the things that people tell you to do? Right on. Absolutely. So at least we understand that we're guarding ourselves. On the flip side, we have the inner game. I love the inner game. You got those little voices inside of your head saying you can't do things, or saying I should do things, or convincing you that you should do some stuff. But the further away you get from that center line, that authentic self, the more compromised you are. Now that compromise, I believe, a lot of the time is anxiety. A lot of that time is depression. The further away from that line you go, the more lost you are, the more you think that you can't bring it back. So if every single day you're making a little compromise that puts you further and further and further away from yourself, the harder it is going to be to pull back. And you're going to show up every single day fighting that compromise with yourself and that compromise with others. So to start things off, we all need to stand for something. We all need to have a purpose in life. And right now, whatever you think that is, it can be tiny, and that's all good, but you got to have something. And as you grow, it will change and it will expand. But understanding that in the morning, when you wake up, you need to stand for something. 2 is going to be projections now. So now, same game, the inner and the outer game, but let's start with ourselves. Okay? Oh, I deserve that. Oh, coach, I deserve to be on that team. Okay? If you stand there and say, I deserve something, you probably haven't done the work to be there. That's just you trying to be right in your mind. They owe me that. Oh, so I should get it. That's not great positive talk. Ooh, I can't do that. Now you're blocking yourself. Now you're projecting this onto yourself. Now the thing with projections is you see the arrow goes up. So before we were grounded, now projections are like the Batman symbol that live in the air. All of a sudden you're projecting into something that is not grounded. It's floundering. Okay? So the more you try to be that projection, the less grounded you are. So the further away from your authentic self and the higher off the ground or less grounded you are, the more that's just this thing that you're grasping for that really is not reality. And that space between the ground and that symbol or your projection, that's even deeper within that anxiety and depression tunnel. Okay? You're floating. You're living into something that really does not exist. You're lying to yourself. So you got to bring that down. You got to ground yourself and you got to pull it back to that authentic line. On the flip side, others will always be projecting their lives onto you. Their fear, their jealousy, deceit's in there. Probably not all the time, but it's going to happen and you need to understand that game. But people are always going to be sharing their deepest and darkest fears, telling you not to do something because they wouldn't do it themselves. But are they you? Oh, yes, interesting. Likely not. Likely not you. When people tell you not to do something, take it with a grain of salt. Nobody should ever decide for you what you should or should not do, okay? Because a lot of the time, unless it's, teachers and they're in your best interest, but we're talking the game of life, a lot of the time people are projecting their insecurities onto you, and they are not you. And they are not inside of you, and they do not know what you're capable of. So the more someone's able to project onto that Batman symbol and tell you what you are, the less grounded you are, the more you are away from that authentic self, and the further away you are from the ground or less grounded. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes. So we're guarding ourselves. Every day you need to understand this game. I'm not telling you how to play it, but these are kind of the game rules whenever you wake up and whenever you enter situations. Well, a part of this game is you are not your stuff. You are not your stuff. I am not my sweet Air Force One Nike kicks. I'm not my shirt. I'm not my pants. I'm not my parents. I am not my experiences. I am not my wins. I am not those things. If I am those things, I'm lying to myself. You are not your stuff. You're not your experiences. Your identity should not be based on that bag of things that's hanging behind you. It is your choice every single day to choose not to be your stuff and to define yourself based on who you are as a human being in that moment. So you are not your stuff, but you are here right now. I'm here right now. I'm here right now. I'm here right now. You are present. Okay? Being present is incredibly important. If you're still living that rally, that tournament, that loss, that missed shot, that's holding you back. That failed test, that time that you got a mark that you didn't deserve, the second you hold on to that, unfortunately, you're still bringing that with you, and that is holding you back. So you need to work on letting go of your stuff. At the level of the mind, life is a game, the purpose of which is to survive. Spoke about that. You can be right or you can be free. Rarely can you be both. So a lot of times we want to be right, but unfortunately being right means that we're going to sacrifice ourselves because we're holding on to that narrative. You're holding on to that story. You're choosing to be that thing. You can be right, but you're going to hold yourself back. Or you can free yourself from that and be present every single day. So do not mistake yourself with the outcome, circumstances, or possessions. Let your character define you in the moment every single day. That character is what defines you at the core, that authentic line, that self-concept, that purpose. I see this a lot now. Life is not a game of one-to-one. Eat your broccoli, get dessert. Okay? We have been, not tricked, but we've been baited by our parents, by life to do things. And so we've come to expect that on the other side of me doing something, there's going to be a reward. There is no participation badge for everything. If you're still living in, I'm going to do that because then on the other side of that, I'm going to get this, in terms of that reward, you're unfortunately still thinking like a child. You need to get out of the mindset that I need to be rewarded for everything that I do. The reward for what you do and living into your purpose and going for it is being alive. The reward is you improving and living into your best self. The reward is not a bowl of ice cream on the other side of it. The reward is not necessarily that medal, although it's amazing and it's great to identify that. But does that make sense? The reward piece and the activation piece. If you are seeking a reward in everything that you do, unfortunately, at some point in time, there's going to be a ton of disappointment. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes, absolutely. We forget that things take time. I had no idea that things take time. The younger you are, the more in the moment you are, we live in a time of instant gratification, cell phones. Everything needs to happen right now. You guys are likely the generation that's had the most on your plates ever, and that's causing a lot of problems. I want to really impose on you guys that great things take time. And a part of that is you need to be in motion, which is that active participation. You have to commit to something. You got to see that commitment through, so complete that circle. Prove yourself wrong. If every single situation you're moving into, you're trying to prove to everyone else that you're right, unfortunately, you don't have a lot to learn. If you're always trying to be right, then you're not going to be a very coachable human being. You need to enter a situation, not trying to impose your will on others, especially now you as students. When you enter a situation, the goal should be to prove yourself wrong. The coach is, generally speaking, 100% of the time right. Listen to them. They're a coach for a reason, or they're a teacher for a reason. It's on you to just put it into practice and decide, hey, that worked, that didn't. I'm going to take the good stuff with me. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Perfect. Be okay with change. Don't hold on to that narrative. Don't be your stuff. I've had 3 life pivots. I actually left university. I stopped playing indoor volleyball because I just didn't agree with my coach. And he was doing things to other athletes that I just didn't agree with. And therefore, I left the team. And that created an opportunity on the other side of that. It was the hardest choice I've ever had to make. I identified with myself as a volleyball player, and I stopped being a volleyball player. But on the flip side of that, because I stood up for myself and what I believed in, on the other side of that was opportunity. But it took a lot of cojones for me to leave the sport that I love so much. If you asked me at that moment, what was I would tell you that I was a volleyball player. So I essentially lost myself. But because it wasn't right for me, I made that choice. 2, I wound up leaving beach volleyball on the flip side because I just trusted myself that I had something that I wanted to give to the world after arguably the most incredible experience of my life. I think we're about 200 people in here right now, 250. So I played in the stadium of 12,000 people, and it was probably the coolest thing that's ever happened. But if I still lived in that moment and chased immortality in sport, I wasn't necessarily giving that gift to the world. And then I just, last week, departed from my fitness business that I put everything into for the last 4.5 years because I felt I had more to offer once again. So I've had to pivot a few different times, but that's not a negative thing. You have to change. You have to adapt. And then you have to see it through on the other side to get those learnings. The social game. This one's interesting. I am now what's called an influencer. Interesting one. And with the influencership comes impressions. So I sit in meetings in Toronto. I have people that pay me to post about their things. So I have businesses that want me to share their propaganda through my social channels because I have created a movement where people want to hear what I have to say. Now all of a sudden I'm selling that. That's my prerogative, and it's what the lens at which I allow people to come in through my channels is very tight because I respect the people that seek information from me, but a lot of people don't. And so you all, I'm going to show of hands, who's got an Insta account? Yeah, we're Insta gaming hard. Okay, Instagram is not reality. Okay? If you see it on Instagram, it does not mean you did it. I'm going to say that again. If you saw it on Instagram, it does not mean that you did the thing. If you saw this sweet highlight reel, I love watching Darcy Sharp, local boy, ripping it up. He's going to go to the Olympics and he's going to kill it. Hopefully Mick Morris steps his game up, but the Canadians are coming in strong. But they're ripping it up on the snowboard hill. But just because I saw it on Instagram does not mean I did a 1640 cab 4. Okay, I saw it, but I didn't do it. And what I'm seeing with a lot of young kids is they're seeing it, and all of a sudden they think that they did that thing. Oh no, I don't need to do it. I'm not going to be the best in the world. I already saw it. It's okay. I'm not even going to do it. Like, we need to actually do things. Okay, but a lot of people in the game of Insta, okay, are waking up and going, how am I going to curate my day so that I look good on Instagram or that I can share something? Versus, I'm going to live my life and I'm going to be present and I'm going to make a difference in the world. And I think I'm going to capture that. I'm going to document it. I'm going to share it with my following. Okay, if you wake up every single day trying to curate your life so it looks good on Instagram, you are messed up, unfortunately. You got it twisted. I want you all to pretend like social media were to die tomorrow. It won't. Don't worry. It's okay. But if it vanished, ask yourself the question is, do you still add value to the world? I hope so. But if that answer is no, because everything that you do is validated through social media, we got problems. You need to reevaluate where you're at. So hashtag paid versus reality. I get paid to do this, but it's on me. It's my discretion of what comes in that. And I'm very tight on it. But some people aren't. And some people will starve themselves for a month for a photo shoot to look jacked, to have 3% body fat and look incredible, or enhance themselves in certain ways to look great with lighting and also Photoshop. And unfortunately for you guys, you're here not necessarily exposed to the big city. I know a lot of these people, not saying that they're bad people, but a lot of it is fake. And so what you base your lives upon, what you want, someone has really curated. So it might not be the way it is, but on Instagram in that photo, it does look that way. So you need to guard yourself. You need to create your own reality versus let Instagram define your reality. Does that make sense? Thank you. The mind. Okay, so we moved away from life now. We're going to get into the mind. We're going to get a little bit internal. How am I doing on time? Half an hour. Oof. Okay, we might even have time for Q&A. The mind. If you are unhappy without a medal, you will not be happy with it. What I mean by that is, if you are seeking validation for something and you think that your happiness lives on the other side of an accomplishment, unfortunately, when you accomplish it, or if you accomplish it, you'll probably realize that your happiness doesn't live on the other side of that thing. I see a lot of people who defer their happiness, thinking that it's going to live on the other side of an accomplishment, of a feat, of $1 million, of a promotion, of a this or a that, and they sacrifice themselves, and they just grind it out, and they hate their lives. Oh, it's okay, it's going to live over there. No. Happiness is a choice every single day. When you wake up, it is a decision to be happy. And there is a lot that comes with that. Gratitude is a big thing, but happiness, absolutely 100% is a choice. And that's you're either a victim or a champion of your situation. Every single day you have a choice. You can't sit on the fence. You're going to move the dial a little bit forward towards championing your circumstance, or you're going to move a little bit backwards and being a victim of that circumstance. And that's a part of that narrative where we're holding on to that stuff. And I know some of us have situations that are really challenging, and that's you had no control over that. And that's okay. Lifestyle, body, you name it. But you're either moving forward or you're moving backward, just a little bit, just a hair. And there's an attitude there, and that attitude is an absolute choice. I really want to challenge you all to think of this a little bit differently in terms of the game of life. Who here likes to compete? Oh yeah, we got some competitors in the room. I dig that. Okay, love competing, love that test. But generally speaking, right now, that level of competition is, I am going to mess my opponents up. I am going to pound them into the ground. I am going to kill them. I cannot wait to destroy them, put them down. Unfortunately, that's not as high calibrating as what I want to share with you right now. Ancient Greeks had it right. To compete, competere. It means strive, so make great efforts to achieve, kind of like that Kaizen, together, with teammates, but also with our opponents. So let's unpack that a little bit. It's not me against the world. Okay, you're not waking up every single day, or you as an athlete are not coming up against everything and, oh, those are the bad guys and I'm going to get them. No. It is a desire to work with people, whether they're on your team or on the other side of the net, of the field, of the ball, whatever, to create a level of play that did not exist before. So that's an art form. To create a level of competition because you want your competition to show up as best they can. You don't want their best player injured so you get that easy W. You don't get anything if that competition is easy, if it gets just handed over to you. That participation badge does not exist. You want the other side to come at you hard, because then you're going to sharpen that steel against steel. And together, you will create something or a level of play or a level of expression or art form that did not exist before that moment because you both were on your game. So you're working together to improve things. So that's a collaborative attitude. If what you want for your opponents is different than what you want for yourself, then something is wrong. You want to have the same thing for those other guys. You want to work with them to create something, and the victor will be the victor. But at the end of the day, if you were stretched a little bit further beyond your means, but you might have lost, you're still going to be a little bit further ahead than if it was just that easy win. You're not going to get anything from that. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes? Awesome. Next time I say that, I need a little bit more interactivity. I want you guys to be in this a little bit more. So we're going to dive into mental strength. Now we're going to get into a little bit more of the deeper mind stuff. And so mental strength, I think there's a shift now towards something a little bit softer, a little bit more agile. But before, mental strength was, I'm going to build these thick walls to protect me from stuff. And the thickness of my walls dictated my mental strength and my protection within that. But unfortunately, with that model, the thicker your walls, the tighter you are. And you're building inside. And all of a sudden, you're stuck. A lot of that, I think, has to do with that anxiety and that depression and us feeling lost. We're protecting ourselves from things. Versus what I believe, and a lot of the great coaches right now that are leading with love and are trying to bring empathy in and make people better through their pursuits, is the ability to be fully present in every single moment. So you're not just protected from it. This is me. I'm doing this. I'm present and I'm open. And I experience each moment without judgment. So I'm not judging anything that's happening. I'm just taking it in. It is happening. Learning from it in that moment. Letting go as quickly as you can, having learned from it. Replacing it with something positive in your mind that will support you. and then moving forward. So that process of not just protecting yourself from the world as mental strength, it's taking it into the moment, being present, not judging it, learning from it, letting go of it, and replacing it with something positive. I believe that is mental strength. And you can do that in any possible situation, but when you're present, you will fully benefit from that learning. Can't tell you how many times I had to really, really work on this throughout my journey. I got game point, playing Brazil, one of the toughest matches of my life, and I got blocked for game point in front of 12,000 people live, in front of 35 million people watching live on television. There's 14 HD cameras around. I was exposed beyond. And mental strength was not blocking that off and not learning from it and just powering through. I had to be fully present and realize I just got stuffed like a turkey on Thanksgiving in front of millions of people. Experience it. What does that feel like? But not be it, not judge it. It is what it is. Learn from it, let go of it, and replace what it was. Does that make sense, everybody? Yeah. Yes. Self-concept. You can't outperform your self-concept. Therefore, a profound belief in your abilities and qualities as a human being are critical to performance. I think I just quoted myself. I didn't realize that. Sweet. You guys can feel free to use that. The only way to have a belief in your abilities is if you participate. If I'm watching things on YouTube and Insta and I'm passively participating, does that contribute to my belief in my abilities as a human being? Yes or no? That's a no. If you watch it and you didn't do it, that does not contribute to your belief that you can do it. Okay? Doing it contributes to your belief that you can do it. Qualities as a human being run way deeper than actually the belief of doing it. That's that self, right? That's that purpose. That's that integrity. All these things come down to you're limiting yourself if you don't believe in yourself. You will never overachieve that moment. So you need to work on yourself and build yourself up. How you do one thing is how you do everything. I love that one. We're going to dive into a little bit more of postural stuff, but how you calibrate what you do in every single moment of your life and every activity is a reflection of the rest of your life and how you're going to do it. A champion stance, and this will come up later, is your everyday stance. Whatever it is that you do right now is a reflection of who you are as a human being right across the board. Okay? Or at least you can see it as an exercise in living into that. So mental and physical posture. So we're going to connect these two things right here. This does not live over here. Okay? Right now we're going to pull this over top. We're going to plug it in. 100% these two things are connected. Mental posture is absolutely a thing. So this mind-body connection. Mental posture comes down to all the stuff that we've just been speaking about, but now we're going to connect it to the physical. First and foremost, if you got one of these things, likely you're doing this. Okay? Do you know what you're telling your body when you're sitting and doing that all day, every day? Not good things. So, first and foremost, I am kinking like a hose my blood vessels, my arteries, my veins, things that get blood to my brain. So, do we all know what happens when you kink a hose? Yeah. So is this a good thing? No, absolutely not. If you're interested in learning or being a human or being awesome at life, I'd recommend not doing that. Oxygen, okay, is transported by the blood. I'm pretty sure this thing requires it. Brain can last, I think, like 8 minutes without oxygen, and then we start to get brain damage. Do you like self-inflicting brain damage every single day by doing this? Does that make you a better human being? Yes or no? Agreed. Nerves. You have a spine. You get this thing right here. Your brain's attached to it. It goes to all of your limbs. If you are interested in performing anything at all in life or being awesome at anything at all, do you think it's a good thing to kink your nerves all day, every day and kind of lose those connections? Yes or no? Agreed. The biology, okay? If I'm doing this, evolutionary biology, psychology, this is called fetal position. That's a protective position. Okay? This is not a good position to be in. You are telling your body to calibrate at a lower level if you are just hanging out like this. Now, I'm totally hating on cell phones right now. It is not about the cell phone. You have a choice to use that thing however you want, but don't let this happen. Okay? Health, and then your narrative. Your brain now thinks that you're a piece of, okay, you're hanging this way. No bueno. Champion's posture. This connection right here is incredibly important. You're giving your body a message every single day. If you do not believe that you can do something, and then you walk into that thing like this, does that contribute to your body's and your personal belief that you can do it, yes or no? Agreed. So, your champion stance is your everyday stance. Mental health. It is a daily practice. We have to move. We did a breathing exercise. I hope you take that with you. Consciously breathing through the nose. This is the remote control to the brain. Movement is integral to get blood flowing. That we're going to discuss it a little bit. But your body is incredibly important to plug into. Intention behind the movement and the breath work and how you wake up every single day. That choice that I spoke about. The participation in the world is active versus passive. You need to choose to participate. You need to choose to put yourself into uncomfortable situations in order to improve. And you need to believe in yourself that you can do it. And I'm not saying I'm going to fly to the moon tomorrow. Okay, that's a bit unrealistic. But every single day, you need to work on yourself just a little bit. And I truly believe that this generation underestimates what they can do in 10 years and totally overestimates what they can do in 1 year. And that little twist in the plot is really important. You can do unbelievable things over a longer period of time. Life takes time. Things take time. Development takes time. But you're all conditioned to want that thing right now. You're wanting that thing, whatever that is, tomorrow. And unfortunately, we get this unrest. We get this, let's call it anxiety or depression, that you're not getting it. You're not getting that quick return. Life is not about quick returns, ladies and gentlemen. So much has happened to me over my lifespan that I could not have predicted. If you told me if you told me when I was in 2002, graduating from Highland, that I'll be back here talking to you guys today about the things that have happened in my life and how it has impacted me to make me a better person through challenge, through losing, through failing, talking to you about love, I would laugh at you. But over time, beautiful things have happened based on choices in my gut, and I'm able to be here today. But it has taken time, and it's taken a belief in myself. Body. So like I mentioned, I work with a ton of athletes. I work with general population. I work with CEOs. I work with high calibrating individuals. I work with people who are broken. I've seen it all. 10,000 plus hours in the game working on human beings physically. I know a lot about the body. Unfortunately, fitness and the brand of fitness and what social media and the marketing of fitness has kind of turned it into this bubble that's not truly reality. And I think fitness has moved away from health. And so we're starting to see a lot of really specialized people representing things, which is incredible. But that specialization has put them on pedestals, has moved them away from people believing that they can do things. And so today, I'm not talking about fitness. I'm not talking about your VO2 max. I'm not talking about how high your vert is. I'm not talking about your 40-yard or 100-yard sprint time. All those things are high performance things. Today, I want to talk about the human being. Okay, that human performance or health. And the biggest thing that I see is people trying to beat stress with stress. Every time you work out, every time you train, it is a stressor. And if you are totally crazy stressed, you can't just put stress on stress thinking you're going to beat it. They do not cancel each other out. That's a multiplication, okay? They amplify the stress. So you need to be intelligent in how you train your body. Health is not high intensity intervals every single day. There's an ebb and a flow. There's a care to your body. You cannot beat stress with stress. I cannot hammer that enough. What we did with that breathing cycle was a really nice way to control stress in your life. So the art of movement, we're meant to move, and you don't have to be an athlete. So I really believe, once again, that fitness has moved away from the health side of things, and we've kind of lost the art of movement, and people have been disenfranchised that they aren't necessarily encouraged to move their bodies every single day as a way to gain control of their brains and gain control of their bodies. It's now turned to high performance at every single turn. When kids are 11 years old, they're signing contracts to play hockey 365 days a year. Like, that's high performance. That's crazy. Okay. That's full on. But for all of you in here, I encourage you all to develop an art of movement practice. That can be different for every single person. It could be dancing, some crazy expression. It could be snowboarding. It could be biking. It could be soccer. It could be sport. Whatever. I encourage you to move. There's so much out there. I was hanging out with a friend of mine. His daughter's doing silk dancing, which is inversions and crazy stuff. Like, that's rad. The body is meant to move, and you're supposed to do cool things. And a part of that is the connection to here. If you don't move, I see a lot of people that are just stress bombs, and they're not able to tune their bodies and their brains at the level that they could, but they're just neglecting to move their bodies. So please participate on your own terms. There's a concept called the health span, which is the quality years of your life. You are all young in here. So at this moment, you're like, I'm going to be so awesome when I'm 70. That's probably not the conversation that's happening inside of your head. That being said, everything that you do right now is contributing to your health span. So it's not about how long you're going to live. You can live to your 100 years old, but if the last 20 years of your life are spent in a wheelchair, are spent with hoses through your nose, spent really being incapacitated and not having control of your body because you made poor choices, that's not what it's about. It's not about living long. It's about having a long health span, quality, functional years of your lives. So long-term, nailed that. Disease prevention is a huge part of it. We are in a moment in time when youth have a lesser life expectancy than that of their parents. I will reiterate. Youth currently have a lesser life expectancy than that of their parents. And that's because we have lifestyle diseases. We're not eating well. We're cranked with sugar. We're not moving all that much. We're sitting down a ton. 21st century life is killing us. Sitting down is the new smoking. I'm going to show you a little example. Actually, you know what? We're going to all do this together. I want you to lean forward a little bit, keep your butt in the seat. I want you to grab a hold of all the material of your clothing in front of your hips, right in front of your thighs. Grab a nice little scrunch, okay? We got it? We got a little firm hold? I want you all to stand up and tell me what happens. Oh, yeah. So sit down. Yeah. What's that? It's tight. So if you were wearing skinny jeans, I apologize if you just broke the back of your pants. But what just happened was you created tension out of a slacked material, and then you stood up, and all of a sudden, whoa, you're fighting against a tension that didn't exist before. Likewise, when you're sitting down, you have a 90 degree in your knees. Your hamstring's just hanging, passively. Well, the body doesn't like slack in the system. Think of it like a sail you're cranking on the rope. So your body is going to ratchet up that tension, so now that's normal. So I'm going to give you a funny little demo. The second that you're sitting all the time, you're driving to work. You're sitting down at school, sitting in a bus, sitting down watching TV, doing this on your celly. What winds up happening is you get up and all of a sudden you're like this. That's what your body's doing internally. You might be fighting it, but that's actually what's happening. All this is crazy tight. Your hamstrings are super tight, and you have what's called ass-foot syndrome. So your foot is now attached to your butt because your body doesn't recognize that you have a leg. So you kind of lost your hamstring. Please don't do this, but if you were to come up right now, stand up and go like this, you don't have legs, okay? You've lost the ability to control your hamstring. Arguably, the hamstring is the most important muscle in the body. It pulls us up, okay? It fights gravity. It's the base of proper posture. 21st century living, unfortunately, now every single day, we're fighting against that seated position. So if you're an athlete, if you're not addressing that before you get on the field of play, you're likely losing gains or you're compromising your body at some point in time because your shitty hamstrings or the front of your hips that are not functioning properly are holding you back. If you're a human being and you're not thinking about that, but you don't play sports day in, day out, that's happening, okay? Not an ideal position to be in. So we'll move into mental health. I'm writing a paper right now for a charity I sit on and work with for National Children's and Youth Health. It is unbelievable the proof that being active in your life, not fitness, active, daily life, unbelievable the proof of long-term health and happiness and quality of life. So subscribing to a lifestyle where you're moving, you're active, you're walking to school, you're taking the stairs versus the elevator, you're just taking those tiny little trips over time, that helps this thing right here. Mental health down the road is impacted by your choices right now. Happiness and fulfillment, you'd be shocked at how awesome it feels to do stuff without, let's say, experiencing it right here. Just because you watched it doesn't mean you did it. When you did it, regardless of whether you're a world champion or not, when you overcome something, that feels good. There's a little happiness. There's a little fulfillment on the other side. There's some endorphins when you complete something. Career longevity. I'm sure all of us want to make some impact in the world. We're going to want to have a family at some point in time to support them. You need to be healthy. You need to have a brain. You need to have a functioning body. And we're at a point now where there's a lot of liabilities. There's a lot of sickness. And a lot of that has to do with the daily choices that you're making today. I'm not going to dive into those, but just be aware that the lifestyle choices you make today will impact the quality of the rest of your life. So that starts now. So in summary, love yourself. Got to start there. Then love others. I love leading with love. That's what it's all about. Actively participating, so it is on you. You need to choose to participate in life. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Challenge yourselves. Say yes to things that make you feel a little bit squeamish. That's important that you do that. If you say no to all those things, especially now, you're leaving a lot of learnings and a lot of improvement as a human being on the table. Believe me when I say that you saying yes to things now, saying yes to doing a little motivational or public speaking or in the classroom being a bit of a leader and taking things on, all that will compound positively in the rest of your pursuits in life. Understand that time, expectations, and projections is the game of life. You need to wake up and understand that. You need to protect your house, protect your core, understand that you are going to have expectations on yourself that you're dealing with, that internal dialogue, other people, that outer world, outer game will have expectations. You need to manage those expectations. Compromise is a sliding scale. It's always in motion, but you need to understand that. You also understand that the world's going to be throwing its projections and insecurities onto you. Likewise, you're going to have these really tough conversations with yourself that's going to be projecting this image that's not necessarily realistic. It's about ratcheting that in and bringing it into that authentic line. You are not your stuff. Whatever it is that you're wearing, whatever situations that you are in, you are not that. Do not wear it like a hat. Okay? Make a positive choice. Do your best to not be your stuff. Believe in yourself. And then ultimately move your body. I think that is the last slide. Awesome. Thank you so much for letting me share that with you.